So it has now been about 10, 11 days since that experience I've shared about in other videos where I took a experimental molecule and had very intense aversive sensations in my cardiac region, in my literal anatomical heart, and stayed with those sensations and then had this rapidly unfolding series of thoughts that led me to the conclusion that all of the love I have in my life, and I have a lot of love in my life, that in a very real sense I deserve. That people love me because of how I show up to these relationships. That was the conclusion that my mind reached, though via my heart in some odd way I can't explain, that I am loved deservedly. Not that we're all worthy of love, which is how some people interpret it. Not that humans are inherently worthy of love. I don't necessarily buy that. I mean, I'd have to think about it more, but that I specifically deserve the love I have, which was an utterly novel thought because I'd always felt deep down, and even not that deep down, that I'm, kind of a piece of shit. That I don't know why these people love me, which is very interesting because I didn't question that people loved me, but the very fact that I had so much love actually increased my shame and guilt because it was like, well, I know I don't deserve this because I know I'm a bad person. And yeah, I don't want to say this is a permanent change because who knows, but again, after 10 or 11 days, it's somewhat durable and the implications seem to be significant. Markedly less OCD, and to be fair, my OCD is consistently less now, much less than it was years ago, much, much less than it was decades ago. But even from that lowered baseline, it seems like the common denominator, well, let me share a few other things. So less OCD, less concern about how other people are perceiving me, much less self-judgmental thoughts, and just generally calmer. And what I was going to say, the common denominator seems to be that there's less grasping for reassurance, or for, what do I mean? Grasping for validation, certainly, which makes sense. If you suddenly feel that you, in some sense, deserve love, that makes sense that you're going to be less desperately trying to get confirmation that people love you and approve of you. Less OCD, I could speculate why I'm having that, but I think, a greater sense of self-acceptance. It makes sense. OCD serves often as a distraction from painful emotions. I'm having fewer painful emotions. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And watch the other video. I know it's a long one if you're curious about this trip, because I don't even know if I'd call it a trip. It was just such a odd, largely cognitive experience. And so I could come up with lots of narratives, but ultimately I don't quite know what's unfolding, but it seems increasingly clear that this experience is unfolding for me and that these benefits, this freedom it feels to me, I can't be sure, correlation doesn't equal causation, but it feels to me very much causative. And I'm aware of a thought in my mind right now that, should I tell them what this specific molecule was because it seems to be so helpful for me? And I'm hesitant because I don't think any molecule is magic. I talked in my other video, it's the general class of empathogens and tactogens, but a newer one. I think a lot of what I'm experiencing now is a result of the work I did leading up to it, the work I did during the experience. A lifetime of, or certainly decades of feeling my emotions and all that other stuff. And I think the timing also comes down to a lot of it. But I've also been examining this idea, why did I feel like I was a piece of shit? And I know that's a harsh judgment, but that was the judgment. Why did I feel that way? And I think what it comes down to is I didn't feel like I was bad because I acted bad towards people, because I was mean, unkind, selfish. I mean, I can be selfish, of course, but I don't think unduly so. I think I'm going to pause while you can listen to me huff and puff. I think it was largely the conclusion that I'm a bad person. I think it was largely the conclusion that I was a bad person, that I'm a piece of shit, was largely because I have unkind thoughts, not infrequently, about other people and about myself. But I judge myself for these uncharitable thoughts about other people that are quite frequent. I'll call it out. Yeah, I can be very judgmental in my head. But that I don't act from that often. And I'll give you a specific example. So I don't know if you've seen me perform live. I'm sure some of you have. But I would say I am an unusually honest performer. When I'm up there, you don't get the sense of, oh, this guy is, playing a role. It's like, oh, this is just this guy being himself. And I think because of that, I have talking to other performers, I think, is an unusual experience where many, many people come up to me after shows and say, oh, I never thought about being a performer or telling stories or doing autobiographical monologues, but now seeing you do it, I want to do this. I'm inspired to do this. And my first thought is always, you think you could do this? You think you could do this? Do you know how much talent this takes? Do you know how much hard work this takes? And you think you, a advertising executive or a AI, salesperson or a school teacher, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. You think you can just do this? You think this is easy? Good luck. Which obviously comes from also an ego threat, in some way my mind is like, oh, they must not think I'm that great if they think they could do it. But actually, I realize that it is, in fact, very high praise indeed, because they're saying, hey, you seem like a real person up there in a way that is rare. But the point is, yeah, I'm going to be out of breath. Or not. I'm in good shape. I've been hiking recently. I don't say that to them. What I say to them is something very different. What I say to them is, you should follow that impulse. You should try this. If something in this calls to you, listen to that. Do it. Go to an open mic. Sign up for a class, but definitely pursue it. And this is the most significant part. When I say that, I feel good. I feel really warm inside. I feel really good encouraging these people. And I think that's the tell, right? That I don't encourage them, but inside I'm like, oh, God damn it, I don't want to encourage these people, but I have to because of social niceties. No, it feels good. It feels like what my heart wants to do. Even with this judgmental part of my brain that's like, you're not that great. You're never going to do this. And there are many, many other examples that aren't so specific to my life as a performer, where basically, yeah, I have a mean, judgmental, negative thought about someone, but the words that come out of my mouth, the actions that I take, are supportive, loving actions, and it feels good to me to do that. And how fucking lucky am I? But I think that's universal. I think encouraging and loving people feels good to everyone. I think other stuff can get in the way of that. It can feel vulnerable. So I don't think I'm special that it feels good to me. But it does feel good to me. So why not look at that as the deeper truth of who I am, someone who actually loves supporting and encouraging people, and someone who does it, rather than saying the truth is these thoughts I have that I don't act on. And as I'm saying this, it all feels kind of obvious. But this was not obvious to me until 10 or 11 days ago. Or more accurately, I had actually had this thought that like, hey, I may have mean thoughts about people, but I'm nice to them, or encouraging, or whatever the case may be in the specific circumstance. So judge yourself based on your actions, not on your thoughts. But I didn't. It was more like, oh yeah, I can fake it. I can act that way on the outside, but deep down, these thoughts are who you really are. And of course, the deepest truth is there is no who we really are. There's no fucking there, or there's no one there. I'm all of it. Here, to show you how loving and generous I am, I'm going to turn around so you can get this fucking awesome backdrop. Can you see that? Selflessly sharing the good view, giving you the good view. Yeah, I'm someone who has judgmental thoughts about other people frequently, who's encouraging and loving towards other people frequently, who is selfish, not infrequently. I'm all of these things. But I was very identified with these negative aspects. And now, since this experience a week and a half ago, I'd say I'm more holistically identified. I see myself as all of this. And actually not just all of this, as I just said. I feel like if I'm going to identify with an aspect, the more logical aspect to identify with is, what do I do and how do I feel when I do it? So I don't know what's going to happen 10 or 11 days from now. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. This is my last day in the Bay Area. I've had a good stay here. I've shared a fair amount of it here, so certainly ups and downs, but the one thing, I'm going to miss people here. I'm going to miss a lot here, but one thing I know I'm going to miss is this. So I'm going to savor it before I get on the plane to New York, where there will be plenty of opportunity to judge people and plenty of opportunity to love people.